Assalamualaikum and good day everyone.
Waalaikumsalam, doktor.
Hang dekat mana?
Dekat kolej, doktor.
Kat kolej. Lepas tu yang hampa ya buat online kenapa?
Doktor kat mana?
Aku kat negara jiran.
Oh, negara jiran dah.
Yelah dah hampa kata online.
Doktor lagi yang banyak bercuti, doktor.
Mestilah cuti banyak. Aduh akbar. Aduh.
Doktor macam tak sihat je, doktor.
Bukan tak sihat, terlebih sihat.
Oh, terlebih sihat. Faham.
Sun bating lama sangat.
Oh, ya.
Aduh akbar.
Ada sun ke dekat KL tengah mendung ni? Asyik hujan ni.
Aku bukan kat KL. KL memang nak landa todak sampai lagi hujan je.
Semalam dah bunyi siren lah. Dah warning paras air.
Kat mana? Kat UM? Oh, UM pun kena warning tak? Dahsyat UM. Mana boleh UM kena warning?
Tu typical Harvard.
Typical. Uzen ada?
Ada. User ada.
Okay. Nak hantar handout. Okay. Uzen. Hang Muhammad Safwan Hakimi.
Zulkifli.
Muhammad Safwan Zulkifli. Tak tersenarai pun hang ni. Muhammad Safwan banyaknya. Zulkifli.
Doktor tulis ni nombor metrik.
Oh, nama hang dia tak tangkap kan? Apa nombor metrik hang cepat?
2300
2300
3749.
49. Bahayanya aku tak nampak nama hang. Asal nama hang tak keluar macam Uzen?
Tak tahu lah, mungkin UM dia tak nak approve saya kot. Harvard kan.
Tak beranilah aku hantar orang lain pula pergi. Okay Uzen, I already send the handout to you Uzen. Okay, so for the first test, how many handout cover for the first test?
First 3.
First three, money, banking, money supply. And then we have discussed monetary tools, monetary transmission mechanism, and then last week online effectiveness of macroeconomics, right? The arguments between monetaries and Keynes, rules, discretionary policy, the ISLM framework. Okay, and today is tools, monetary tools, MTM, monetary transmission mechanism, effective policy effectiveness. Today conducts today monetary policy and monetary policy goals. Okay, and then inflation and unemployment. So final exam 50%, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 handout for final exam, okay? Starting from the monetary tools, monetary transmission mechanism, effectiveness of policy, and then monetary policy and monetary policy goals, and then next week inflation and unemployment. Okay, these are the 5 handout. Okay, 5 chapter, 5 handout that's cover for your final exam. Okay, clear? Okay.
Okay, Doktor.
Okay, until next week is for the final, and then we have another next week. Dah minggu berapa ah? Minggu
Week
ni
12.
next week dah 12 dah. Lepas tu kita ada 2 more weeks. Bila nak buat lagi satu test ah?
Week 14.
Dah tak sempat dah, kita ada 2 lagi handout
Week-
tu. Apa ke?
Week 13.
14 tak boleh buat. 15 really
15, Doktor jangan kacau 15, Doktor. Final kita orang sakit, Doktor.
15 sakit. 15 dah best cuti kan, cuti seminggu.
Tak boleh, Doktor. Cuti tu lah orang nak baca semua tu.
Oh, nak baca. Kalau macam tu kita buat another assignment lah. Assignment, kita buat assignment is very easy for you guys to just ask the ChatGPT. Kita tengok, okay, maybe next week we have to go for 2 handouts ke? Okay. Okay, so how many we have today before we start our discussion? So we have 11 out of 31. Okay, maybe Uzen or somebody can call more members to join our session. Okay.
Doktor.
Ya.
Nanti ada video TikTok lagi ke?
Dah tak kot.
Ada lagi satu video TikTok dengan lagi satu test kan?
Video TikTok, video you all dah buat berapa?
2.
Cukup 2.
Boleh lah, nanti doktor bagilah markah semua dekat situ je.
Tak, test. Lagi satu test ni. Saya mungkin tak bagi test. Tengoklah kalau sempat kita punya discussion mungkin boleh buat satu test ataupun buat macam laporan lah, bukan video lah. Laporan ataupun like a case study. I throw one question. You all punya assignment group kan?
Ada.
So based on the video punya members group, you all buat satu laporan lah. Okay. Since you guys tak nak exam and then we are running out of time. Okay, let's see. Maybe I'll try to catch up week 14 as our second test. I try. Okay, let's see how it works. If not,
tak apa lah doktor. Laporan je senang.
Laporan nowadays, laporan is very, very difficult because you guys just throw the question inside the chat GPT, they will come up with every single thing, okay, every details.
Tak
So
ada.
there's no
Terus nanti profound cari dekat Google Scholar, doktor.
aduh, nantilah let's see how it works. Okay, kita tengok dulu. Okay, so let's finish today business. Okay. Okay. So today we're gonna see how uh, the outcome, okay, the outcome of implementations of monetary policy, okay, whether they hit the goals or what happened, okay. So basically, the goals of monetary policy or others economics, okay, others economics ultimate goals, okay, is always two, okay, long run economic growth and also stabilization in terms of price, okay, or inflation. Okay, so this kind of stabilizations actually can be achieved through the business cycle. Okay, we can see how the actual GDP, okay, actual, okay, not real, okay, actual GDP is actually fluctuating upside down the potential GDP. When it goes down, so we have the output gap, okay, when it goes up, okay, above the that tangent 45 degree, so it will have the inflation gap, okay. So let's see what are the phenomena, okay, where we need to take necessary monetary policy and see, okay, what is the outcomes, okay. So over here, okay, we have three phenomena we're going to discuss. Okay, demand shock, permanent supply shock, temporary supply shock. Okay, three shocks. Okay, so demand shocks, okay, is made due to financial crisis, okay, bank crisis, and then no trade-off in terms of policy. Okay, later we're gonna see what it means by no trade-off. Okay, so basically by implementing one single monetary policy, it will allow us to achieve the two objectives listed over here. Okay, so it is not trade-off. Okay, only one kind of monetary policy allow us to achieve, okay, these two goals. And the second one is permanent supply shock. Okay, permanent supply shock is due to the regulations, okay, regulation or permanent supply shock is it can be also considered that it comes from the A. If you remember your production function, okay, production function is y equal to functions of A and then in bracket KL, capital and labor, right? So permanent supply shock, okay, it can be considered coming from that A. Okay, that A is what? Okay, that it is a exogenous variables. Okay, it is coming from the uh, due to the natural disaster regulations. Okay, technological advancement. What else? There should have four regulation, natural disaster, technological advancement. There should have four. Another one. I can't remember the fourth. Okay, okay, but these are the things, three kind of factors that included in this A because it is exogenous. What it means by exogenous variable, it is some things that out of the control of that model. Okay, so for example, based on the production function, K and L is inside the bracket, so they are endogenous variable. Okay, endogenous variable meaning here it is variable control inside the model. Okay, but A is exogenous, it's not controlled throughout the model, like regulation, some things that is out of the production process. Okay, suddenly the governments come up with a new policy, new regulations, right? So it is out of the production process. Okay, meaning that the producer, the firms, the companies, they have no power. Like a natural disaster is suddenly hit. Okay, so we have to face it. Okay, it's also no trade-off. Okay, meaning one single monetary policy is seems to be good enough to hit the two goals. Okay, and then the third one is the temporary supply shock. Okay, temporary supply shock is due to the oil price spike. Okay, oil price spike. I'm not so sure whether I really experienced or not, but I can really remembers that one of the event, okay, of the oil price shock was back in 1987. Okay, 1987. 1987, I was in a primary school. Okay, so I can remember. Okay, my cousin, my brother, sister, cousin cannot find a job at the moment. Okay, even though they are graduate. Okay, so what happened when the oil price shock? Okay, oil price shock is, we know that every single thing based on oil, based on petroleums, right? Okay, even diesels, petrol, okay, everything. So and then when the oil price increase, okay, the crude oil increase, so basically it affect the core of the inflation. Okay, the core of the inflation. So when it affect the core of the inflation, okay, so all the price will increase. Okay, because all this oil actually used to running the machine, running the lorries. Okay, so the chain effect, okay, the chain effect in the economy will be very uh, continuous and also affected everyone. Okay, even though sometimes not sometimes lah, one times I have heard arguments, okay, made by the members of parliament in Malaysia. They're asking, okay, when the all of price increase, why do they increase the parking tickets? Okay, what are the connection? Okay, so directly is yes, there is no connection, but indirectly we knows that those owners or workers of the parking tickets, okay, they use petrol. Okay, they use petrol. Okay, they need to set up the parking also using a petrol, right? So everything will be affected. So that's why when petrol increase, they will also increase the parking ticket. Okay, but members of parliament in Malaysia, okay, maybe their lack of knowledge. Okay, what is they are asking? There is no connection between oil price and the parking ticket. Okay, so for the temporary supply shock, yes, trade-off exists. So meanings that one single monetary policy cannot allow us. Okay, it's not allow us to achieve the two goals. Okay, so meanings that if you implement especially monetary policy, maybe you can achieve price stability. Or if you apply contractionary monetary policy, and then you can achieve uh, economic growth. Okay, long run economic growth. Okay, so let's see the first one. Okay, policy trade off. Okay, this is the conflict. Okay, whether we can achieve both, okay, simultaneously, or we can achieve only one, okay, for that particular monetary policy. Okay, so for the demand shock, okay, demand shock, shift AD. Okay, so over here we are using the ADAS framework. Okay, our last previous discussion we are using SLM framework. Today we use ADAS framework. Okay, so when there is a shock, okay, so over here it is defined, it's a negative demand shock. Okay, negative demand shock. So the output fall below potential, inflation below target. Okay, so meanings that we are not hit our goals. Okay, so what should we do? Okay, okay, as always, okay, meanings that the policy maker have option of doing nothing. Okay, why they can opt for that option? Because if they are based on the classical, okay, classical, they believe that the market is efficient, so the market will immediately adjust, okay, to achieve the equilibrium. Okay, so do nothing. Okay, but over here, based on our discussion, the monetary policy will take action. Okay, so when negative demand shock, okay, negative demand shock, output fall below, inflation below target. So aggregate demand shift A1 to A2. Okay, aggregate demand from A1. So the blue one is the initial equilibrium, the blue one, okay? And then the red one is the new one, okay? So first it shift from AD1 to AD2, okay? AD1 to AD2, okay? AD1, AD2. So we know that under the ADAS framework, okay, the long run equilibrium achieved when we have the intersection between the LRAS, ES, okay, short run aggregate supply and aggregate demand. So point over here, the intersections of all the curve in this diagram lead us to the long run economic growth. Okay, so now ADAS shift downward to the left, okay, due to the negative demand shock. So we have a new intersection point over here, which is just between AD and AS. Okay, just AD and AS. So AD and AS, this is the uh, real or short run equilibrium. Okay, so now the output, okay, the output now is below, okay, below the equilibrium, okay, below the long run economic growth, okay, below. And we can also see over here inflation is below. Okay, inflation also going down below. Okay, so of course, okay, in order to boost the economy, they need to implement expansionary monetary policy. Okay, implement expansionary monetary policy. So ease monetary policy, okay, ease monetary policy, okay, cut interest rate, okay, we reduce or decrease interest rate. Okay, cut or reduce interest rate, so meanings that first, in terms of the cost of borrowing, it become cheaper, so more people actually would like to engage, to have more loan, engage with the investment. Okay, second, the in terms of return, it is not attractive enough. Okay, say since there is a decrease in terms of interest rate, so it will actually encourage people to hold money in hand. So once people hold money in hands, it is always induce people to spend more. Okay, spend more. So spend more, consumption, okay, from the GDP equal to CIG plus NX. Okay, consumption increase, investment increase. Okay, net export will be negative. Okay, people start to spend. Okay, uh, since it is expansionary monetary policy, okay, it will also affect the government sector. The government sector also will start to spend. Okay, so it will increase the output. Okay, so y increase equal to y also equal to AE, aggregate expenditure, also equal to aggregate demand, right? So GDP equal to y equal to aggregate expenditure AE, and also equal to aggregate demand. So this will increase the aggregate demand. So eventually the aggregate demand will shift, okay, upward to the right. Okay, will shift upward to the right. Okay, so it will actually restore the long run equilibrium, long run economic equilibrium at point 1. Okay, at point 1. So autonomous easing of monetary policy, okay, shift the aggregate demand curve back to AD1, and that economy return to long run equilibrium with inflation stabilized at uh, T, okay, inflation T. Okay, so as mentioned earlier over here, demand shock have no trade-off, no trade-off. So meanings that by implementing easing or expansionary monetary policy, we can achieve stabilized price stability and also long-run economic growth. Okay, by implementing one single monetary policy, we allow and able to achieve the two goals. Okay, boleh? Is it okay, everyone? The first one, the first phenomena. Where are you guys? Are you here? Okay, we have 13, 13. Hope more to join. Okay,
Okay, doktor. Okey, okey.
okay. Hang okay. Dalam exam jangan KO tau.
InsyaAllah, doktor. InsyaAllah.
InsyaAllah. Okay. The rest, are you guys okay? Let me check one. Okay, Jia Ying Tan. Jia Ying Tan. Uzain cepat je kan sebelum kena petik. Cepat dia thumbs up kan. Jia,
Yes, doctor.
is it okay? Any question?
Yeah, no question.
No question.
Mm.
Okay. So can we proceed next? So where I am.
Sure, doctor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next we go for the second phenomena is a permanent supply shock. Okay, permanent supply shock. So permanent supply shock, what are the costs? Is one of it is the regulation given over here. Example is the regulation. Okay, regulation reduce productivity permanently. Okay, regulation. Okay, so it's very difficult uh, to have kind of policy of regulations that reduce productivity unless it is come with the new technology, right? Green technology which is expensive. Okay, so only those who are using green technology will be given license or allowed to be proceed with the operational process. Okay, otherwise you are not allowed. So this will actually reduce the productivity. Okay, we have a permanent negative. Okay, again negative supply shock. Okay, negative supply shock. Okay, so since it is affect the A from the production function, so it will actually adjust the long run aggregate supply. So long run aggregate supply will shift to the left from LRS1 to LRS2. Okay, LRS 1 to LRS 2. Why it becomes 3? Okay, doesn't matter. It shifts to the left. Okay, so when it shifts to the left, okay, what happened? So actually, if you can still remember, okay, remember in your principle of economics, okay, so any changes in terms of this mm, what is the terms? This this exogenous variable, okay, it will actually affect the whole curve under the ADAS framework to shift, okay, to shift to the same direction. Okay, it will affect all curve. Okay, so it's a negative permanent supply shock. Okay, so So LRS shift to the left, LRS shift to the left. Step 1, permanent negative, supply shock shift the long run LRS to the left, okay? So, and short run aggregate supply curve upward, okay? AS shift upward. Okay, AS shift upward. So they have a new real GDP, okay? AS and AD over here at point 2. Okay, AS also shift to the left as the output produce decrease. Okay, output produce decrease. It shift upward to the left. AS shift upward to the left. Okay, following the movement of the LRAS. Okay, so over here it intersect. Okay, with the initial AD. Okay, intersect with the initial AD at point 2. Okay, at point 2 we can see that okay the inflation is higher, okay, and then okay based on this point 2 also our output is now decreasing. Okay, the real output is now decreasing. Oh, okay, the real output also decreasing. So now they are implementing autonomous monetary policy tightening. Okay, shift the aggregate demand. Okay, so they are applying a contractionary monetary policy. Okay, contractionary monetary policy. Okay, by implementing the contractionary monetary policy, okay, AD will shift downward to the left. Okay, downward to the left, so it will intersect. Okay, we have the intersection point over here for the all three curve over here, LRAS, AS, and AD. Okay, over here. So over here, we able to actually reduce the inflation. Okay, not to say reduce, but we able to pressure down, okay, the inflation back to the normal, okay, or to restore, okay, to restore the inflation level. Okay, and at the same time, okay, even though the output is now getting a lower, okay, as point 2 to point 3, okay, but we able to achieve long run economic growth. Okay, long run economic growth. Okay, so that's why, okay, the goals over here is the price stability and to have a long run economic growth. Okay, even though over here the output actually are moving to the left, approaching to the origin. Okay, so don't you make this kind of mistake. Okay, since the output is moving to the left, and then you say that the monetary policy taken is not effective. Okay, so it's not necessary, but it allow us to achieve the long run economic growth. So over here, by implementing, okay, contractionary monetary policy, we actually allow to to achieve, okay, the price stability and long run economic growth. Okay, so the third phenomena, okay, temporary supply shock, okay, due to the oil price spike. Okay, so aggregate supply shift up, okay, shift up, aggregate supply shift up due to the oil price shock. ES, aggregate supply shift upward, aggregate supply shift upward. Okay, shift upward, hit the AD at point 2 where the actual uh, equilibrium, okay, actual economic growth, okay, which is below the long run economic growth, okay, below. When we have an increase in the oil price, okay, so it means that the cost of production is now increasing, okay, cost of production increase. So basically the producer, the business person uh, will reduce the production, okay, because if they keep on producing the goods, okay, that having or affected by the oil price shock, okay, the higher the oil price, so they may have a loss because consumer will not buy product that have higher price, okay, so that's why AS will shift upward to the left, okay, upward to the left. Okay, upward to the left. Okay, and then uh, upward to the left at point 2. Okay, at point 2. Okay, point 2, we can see that we have higher inflation. Okay, higher inflation and lower output. Lower output. So so if the central bank, okay, taken tightens policy, okay, contractionary policy, okay, it will fall more output, okay, fall more output. Okay, autonomous tightening of monetary policy shift the aggregate demand curve to AD3, okay, AD3, okay, from the AD to AD3, okay, leading to a decline in output but keeping inflation at inflation. Okay, so over here, if we take tightening, so of course, contractionary, it will reduce the aggregate demand. So aggregate demand will, demand curve will shift downward to the left, okay, downward to the left. So yes, we able to tone down or to reduce the inflation, okay, back to the initial level, but we this action will make a worse, okay, of the output produced, okay, the action will make output even lower. Okay, so if we take the contractionary monetary policy, so if we takes expansionary monetary policy, okay, so based on this tightening of monetary policy, we can see that we only achieve price stability, but we don't achieve long run economic growth. So now if we implement, okay, expansionary monetary policy, So aggregate demand, okay, will shift back to the initial level. Okay, aggregate demand will shift back to the initial level. Okay. Okay, so when they shift, they go for the expansionary monetary policy. So AD will go back to the initial level. Okay, so uh, okay, AD go back over here. So over here, they can achieve the output. Okay, they can achieve the output. So the first action, they are having a contractionary monetary policy. Okay, so contractionary monetary policy. So AD going down over here. So we reduce the inflation pressure. Okay, which is good, and then we make it a lower output. Okay, so that is the first action. Okay, and then if they try to boost output, okay, if they try to boost output, okay, boost output, so AD will shift upward. Okay, will shift upward to the right. Okay, upward to the right. Okay, so okay, so they can achieve uh output, okay, long run economic growth, okay, but at the higher price. Okay, they can achieve long run economic growth, okay, but at the higher price. Okay, but at the higher price. If they're implementing one by one. Okay, due to the oil price shock. Okay, oil price shock, AS will shift upward to the left. Okay, so we have higher inflation and lower output. Okay, first action, they can take a contractionary monetary policy. So AD will shift downward. Okay, so inflation can be reduced, but output is even lower. Okay, or okay, but they can have the price stability. Okay, or they can have a expansionary monetary policy. So the AD will shift upward to the right. Okay, intersection of the long run economic growth is achievable. Okay, but at the higher inflation. Okay, but at the higher, oh, but it's a higher inflation. Okay, higher inflation over here. Okay, so by implementing contractionary, we can have a price stability. Okay, but fall in output. But we can, if we implement expansionary monetary policy, we can have stabilized output, or we achieve a long run economic growth. Okay, is it okay, class? So this example, this phenomena, okay, so we have, okay, we have trade-off. Implementing one single policy is not one single policy is not actually allow us to achieve the two goals simultaneously. Okay, when we implement one kind of monetary policy, we can achieve one goal at a time. Is it okay? Is it clear? Or you need to have a one more time of explanation? Guys, are you there? Sapuan, faham ke Sapuan?
Doktor, kalau sekali je, boleh ke?
Sekali lagi explain yang the third one.
Ya, buat jangan short pun tak apa. Sorry, doktor, line sangkut-sangkut.
Okay, one more time, okay, for the third phenomena, okay. Temporary supply shock, okay, due to the oil price shock. Okay, oil price shock, usually when we say about shock, is increase, okay, increase. So oil price increase. When oil price increase, the cost of production will also increase. So meaning that if the firms continue to produce, it's gonna offer the product at the higher price, which is not in favor for the firms, because they know this will not induce people to buy their product, and they will having a economic loss. So that's why aggregate supply will shift upward to the left. Okay, aggregate supply shift upward to the left. So this will lead us to have actual short run equilibrium. Okay, the intersection between AS and AD over here. Okay, where we can see we are actually experience higher inflation and lower output. So what are the action should be taken by monetary from the monetary policy in order to somehow control this situation? Okay, so first, if we go for contractionary monetary policy, okay, contractionary, so it will reduce the aggregate demand. So aggregate demand will shift downward to the left, okay, downward to the left. So over here. So now we have equilibrium, okay, short run equilibrium, where we able to reduce the inflation. Okay, we reduce the inflation. Okay, we reduce the inflation, but we make even worse in terms of the output produced. Okay, if we go for contractionary monetary policy, we can achieve price stability, but not long run economic growth. Okay, and then if we go for the expansionary, okay, expansionary, it will boost AD. It will boost AD, so AD will shift upward to the right, okay, upward to the right. For example, it will intersect over here, okay, intersect over here. So we can have a long run economic growth, okay, meaning that we have output stability, but we have the output stability at higher price, okay. We have the long run economic growth at higher price. Okay, so meanings that one monetary policy can only achieve one goal at one time. It's not like the permanent supply shock and demand shock, okay, where one kind of policy implemented, okay, will hit the two goals. Is it okay?
Okay, doktor.
Okay. Okay, so okay, of course, across the globe, we want to have a price stability in order to have a small inflation rate, low inflation rate. But as we mentioned earlier in our earlier discussion, okay, we are not even know, okay, what is the outcomes of implementing that policy, okay. So even though we want to reduce the inflation, but unintentionally, okay, we leads to the inflation, okay, we lead to the inflation. Okay, so for example over here, if we implement expansionary monetary policy, okay, okay, just for the purpose to actually allow or to increase, okay, the employment rate, okay, but the outcomes of this policy will hit inflationary pressure, okay. Let's see the step, okay, the step. Okay, policy maker action, okay. Okay, governments wants higher employment than the natural rate. Okay, so to give positive vibes to the governments, the governments will uh, direct the policymakers to do anything to boost the employment or to reduce the unemployment. Okay, okay, so in order to do that, the central bank will implement expansionary monetary policy. So more money will be circulated throughout the economy. So meaning that the aggregate demand will increase. Okay, where the aggregate demand curve will shift upward to the right. Okay, upward to the right. Okay, so upward to the right. So meanings that upward to the right. Okay, upward to the right. So meanings that we are here initially. Okay, aggregate demand shift upward to the right. So we are here on our right hand side. Okay, the long run economic growth is here where the three diagrams intersect each others. But now AD increase shift to the left and shift to the right. Okay, so now intersect of the ADAS over here. Okay, ADAS over here. So meanings that the short run